Hey guys, welcome to Pen Test Skills. So in this tutorial, we will be covering Metasploit tricks and exploitation of Windows as well as Linux machines. So before we start, you can have a look at my below OSCP preparation course structure, which is coming with 90% discount and only $10, which contains, beginner, intermediate and advanced level exploitations. And in beginner, you will be having multiple exploitation of XSS, SQL, file upload, and many more. And then in intermediate, we will be having privilege escalation of Windows or Linux machine. And in advanced section, we will be exploiting vulnerable machines, which is close to real world scenario. So let's start with our exploitation of Metasploit. So here we have a Kali console open here. So in this, I have made a folder named Metasploit. You can also make a folder, and I have a vulnerable machine. Not vulnerable, it's with a Windows machine. Okay, with Windows 10. So you can see here, this is Windows 10, and we will just log in our Windows 10 just to show you how the desktop it is. This is the normal desktop we have, and let's start with our Metasploit tutorial. So basically, for Metasploit, there is a separate payload generator called MSF Venom. So it's basically combination of MSF payload and MSF encode. So this was done to make encoding of both modules same. So we will be generating payload using MSF Venom. We can customize our payload, and then we can exploit it using MSF console, which we know how to run Metasploit by executing MSF console. So let's start for creating a payload using MSF Venom. Write MSF VENOM Venom, and then you can write -p for payload, and then you can write Windows if you want to generate a Windows payload or a payload for Windows platform, or you can write Linux for Linux platform. For now, we will be covering Windows section. So write Windows and then write meter and then write reverse underscore TCP. Okay. So once you have written the TCP, then you have to enter the lhost value. Lhost is your Kali Linux machine IP. So you can check here. The IP of this machine will be 192.168.191.140. So that's the IP we will be writing here. 192.168.191.140. And then you have to write the L port. You can customize your payload in your of your own choice, or you can write whatever you want. I will write 444 because that will be a default port in Metasploit for this payload. So once you have written this IP and port, then you have to write -f is the format in which you want to generate your payload. So for Windows, I will write exe because Windows will understand exe, and -f is the format for exe. And then I will make a column and store this payload in a name. So name. So I will write name as cell.exe, or you can write payload.exe or whatever name you want to give. Okay. Once you have done, you just press enter. So it will take some time, and it will generate a payload called cell.exe, and it will store all these payloads or in whatever the value it has in that particular file. So once it is generated, I'll show you how to uh, you know uh, then share this payload to the vulnerable machine. Now you can see no platform was selected, choosing platform Windows from the payload. Since I have written here Windows, so it has selected Windows. No, so it is for 64, and now the payload size is 341 byte. Final size is 7380 bytes. You can write ls to see if your payload has been generated, and now you can see here the payload has been generated. Now how to share this payload to vulnerable machine in real world scenario? You can share it via email, or you can host it on a particular server and share this link to your victim. In this scenario, I will be using Python server for hosting this payload. So for that, I will be writing Python, sorry, Python -m, and then http dot server. because I have Python 3 is installed by default. If you have Python 2.7, then you can write simple HTTP server. It will be the same, or you can go in Apache and host in Apache. So I prefer usually doing this because I can host my server using any of the using any folder. So once as soon as I enter this value, then press enter. Now your server has started and you can access it within a network anywhere. You can access it anywhere within a network. So let's go to another folder here, or you can go to your Windows machine and check if this is accessible or not. So for that you will be just entering your Internet Explorer, and you will be entering the IP of the vulnerable Kali machine. So just write HTTP. Sorry, I'm writing it here. That's not right. It's right here. HTTP and 192. This is the URL of my hosted server here. So as soon as you will press enter, you can see the value of our the payload which was hosted. We can access it now. How to execute it? For getting this executed, you have to load MSF console Metasploit, right? So write MSF console to load your Metasploit. So as soon as Metasploit will be loaded, you have to run the command. I will share you the command which is the widely used for listener. Use exploit TCP. This is widely used and beginner level command, and which is can be used in any time to get your script executed and exploit your vulnerable machine. So as soon as they do clear, now let's start. For that, for exploiting, we will be doing use exploit slash multi slash handler. Okay, now you have to set a payload, and your payload should be same as you have created, like in MSF payload, right? MSF Venom, sorry, MSF Venom, and you had created this payload, right? So you have to access this payload from Metasploit and get this executed. So how you do? You will just write set and write payload, okay, and then write L host value, which will be same what as for our calling machine, as of our calling machine, and we are the same which we had set in our payload. So for our Kali machine's IP is 192.168.191.140. Okay, set payload and okay. So here we are doing some mistake. Here set payload. We will set the IP later. First we have to set the category of payload. Okay, so set payload. Then again we have to write Windows slash meterpreter plus reverse underscore TCP. The idea is the payload should be same of what we have created. Here we have created Windows meterpreter reverse TCP, so we have to call the same payload. Okay, set payload Windows meterpreter reverse TCP. So multi handler is basically a listener in which we are executing this payload and ask the multi handler to listen for this payload. As soon as we have entered, this payload has been set. Now we have to set the IP. Set L host is basically our IP, and we can set our IP as 192.168.191.140. This IP should be of your Kali machine and the same IP which you have configured in your payload. Press enter. You can write options to see what all have been set and what all are left. So as you can see here, our L host is already set. L port is by default, it has taken 4444, which we had already set here. If you look here, we had set the port should be same. So the port and IP should be same in the both, so that it can call that payload and establish a connection with it. Okay, now you have to write just exploit. As soon as you will write exploit, it will keep listening for that payload which we have created and transferred to our vulnerable machine. So just write exploit. Now it will start listening for this IP and the port. So as soon as you have transferred your file to the victim machine, and if the victim clicks it, you will get the console, you will get the meter printer console. So let's write cell.exe, and alert will come. It's basically for exe alert. So as soon as you will create run, you will get a meter printer session in your Kali machine. So as you can see here, now you have got a meter printer session. Okay, so this is how you exploit or compromise a Windows machine. So this was the first step of exploiting a vulnerable VM. Now what all things you can do, after exploiting this machine, so that we will be seeing in the next video, what all we can do. All right, so guys, thanks for watching.